All right, everybody, welcome into the High Noon Stream. I am Pugs Moran. It is, Thursday afternoon. We do this every Monday through Friday, noon till whenever. What is this? Well, what we do is we like to run through all of the topics, the headlines, the current events, the trends, whatever it is that people are buzzing about, whatever it is that's happening in the world. We try and give it to you, and it's a cheat sheet, really. It's just a quick little rundown of all the things that are happening on this very day. It's for your own personal edification, just so you're not walking around out there not knowing what's happening in the world. How do we do it? Well, we do it in a couple of stages. First, what we'll do is we will give you all of the history of today. We'll talk about all the things that happened throughout time on this day, why today is memorable. Then we'll move into some birthdays. We'll celebrate the contributions of some of the people who were born unto the world on this day. And then we'll mourn some of the passings of people who died on this day. At that point, typically, I feel pretty confident that I have a good, firm grasp of what this day has meant throughout history. And at that point, we jump headfirst right into the news of the day, the topics of the day. Now, how do those work? Well, we don't spend a whole lot of time on any one topic. What I say is I go, hey, this is a big headline across America. And then I say why it's a big headline across America. I give you a little hot take, and then we move on. We do not spend too much. If there's any one topic that you're like, I don't care about this, I don't care about the Wall Street situation, whatever, just hold your breath, and within a minute or two, we'll be on to the next topic. That's how this show works. It's quick, it's in, it's out, and that means more than anything today because we're in a bit of a rush today. Not that we're going to cut the show short. I mean, I got a whole show here that I produced this morning. So we're going to be doing that, but we're not going to dilly-dally. We're going to try and get everything out, and then, I got stuff to do. Big show tonight, though. We do have, we do the second stream. Second stream we call Pillow Talk. Pugs and Parker, myself and James Parker. It's a little conversational show. Tonight, we got a special guest. We got a girl that we've been talking to on the air, a friend of James. She's been in and out of trouble. James is fascinated by her existence, and so he's been talking about her. And then all of a sudden, she pops up on the show, and she defends her existence. She gets in a lot of trouble. She's been arrested like a whole bunch of times. Anyway, she gave a very nice, compelling reason as to why she's going through this about a month ago. And we hadn't heard from her since. And that's because she's back in jail. And she's going to call us from jail tonight on Pillow Talk. So we're going to figure out what's going on with old Jen. Jen, friend of the show, Jen. She's having a hard time. So we'll talk to her tonight at 9:00. That's on the Pillow Talk show with myself and James Parker. Okay, let's get into today, though. That's enough promoting of the other shows. Let's get into what's happening today at high noon. It is the 8th day of December, year of our Lord 2022. That means there are 342 days gone in the year. 342 days gone. We got 23 days left. 23 days left. We are, if there was any, look, this is hard for me because I grew up in the Midwest where there are 4 seasons, and it's definitely, you look out the window and you're like, yep, it's Christmas time. It is definitely Christmas time, although I wouldn't know it from looking out my window. I had my air conditioning on last night. Yeah, I had the air conditioning had to come on last night because it was like in the mid 70s, and the humidity was really bad. And I'm like, we got to get rid of this humidity. So yeah, I actually had although it is Full Metal Christmas, which is one of the reasons I got to rush today. Yeah, stupid Christmas stuff to do. It looks beautiful outside. Well, it doesn't look beautiful. It looks gray outside. What's the current temperature here in North Texas? We do this show from the, what we'd like to call the 1%er compound here in beautiful Highland Park, Texas. The current temperature, all right, 70. All right, that's not too bad. That's not, still though, it's December the 8th. I would like it to be maybe 40s. 40s would be nice. Maybe at the threat of snow. All right, let's get into what has happened on this day in history. On this day in 877. That's right, we're going way back. On this day in 877, Louis the Stammerer, he was the son of Charles the Bald, is crowned king of the West Frankish kingdom of, I don't know, I can't pronounce it, Campania. Compieg, umlaut, weird things I don't recognize, NE. Anyway, only reason I mention that is because imagine you're a historical crowned head of Europe, and you've seen all the ones come before you. You've seen the greats. You've seen the bolds. You've seen Robert the Fierce. You've seen all these, and then you're Louis the Stammerer in the history books. And it must have been something about this family because his dad, Charles the Bald. Yeah, not exactly. Yeah, all right. 1660 on this day. A woman. This is a big day for you, Hey, ladies, gather around. Big day for y'all. On this day in 1660, a woman. They don't know who. They didn't think to write it down. What? A woman, either Margaret Hughes or Anne Marshall. On this day in 1660, a woman, either Margaret Hughes or Anne Marshall, appeared for the very first time on a public stage in a production. At the time, it was the role of Desdemona in a production of Shakespeare's Othello. The first actress. That's on this day, the first actress. Women weren't allowed. Men had to play female roles. Well, apparently on this day, during a Shakespeare play, they actually cast a woman to play Desdemona. On this day in 1941, in World War II, United States President Franklin Delano Roosevelt declares December 7th, yesterday, a date which will live in infamy, after which the U.S. declares war on Japan. That was on this day, that big speech. Today is a day that will live in infamy. See that? Like now that speech would have been made on the day of, right? Like at night. Like if there was like a big Pearl Harbor attack at noon today, the president would be on TV. He'd be, but because, people didn't even know about the Pearl Harbor attacks until a day or so later. That's how media was back then. It took a while. It took a while for the news to travel. On this day, also in 1941, World War II, Japanese forces simultaneously invade Shanghai International Settlements, Malaysia, Thailand, Hong Kong, the Philippines, and the Dutch East Indies. This was all the part 2 of their big Pearl Harbor attack plan. They then moved and basically said, yep, we're at war. And then we declared war, and that all happened on this day. On this day in 1962, this is interesting only because of something that's happening today. On this day in 1962, workers at 4 New York City newspapers, this later increases to 9, go on strike for 114 days. New York newspaper strike on this day in 1962. Learned about this in college. In journalism school, learned about the 1962 New York newspaper strike. And it's interesting because, it's not interesting at all. It's about unions and, that kind of thing. But it's interesting in that today, the New York Times, they're threatening a strike at the New York Times. It's gotta have something to do with the anniversary, right? You would think. On this day in 1972, okay, this is one we're going to spend a little bit of time on because this is weird. Ooh. Now, as many of you know, I used to do a running list every day of planes that had crashed because I'm afraid of planes. I mean, I will fly on planes. I'm not one of these people. I'm not flying. You know why? Because I'm not really afraid of death. If I'm going to go, I'm going to go. It's just going to happen. There's nothing I can do about it. Life is so random. So I'm not afraid of that. But I just don't like I'm not comfortable on an airplane. I'm like, this is not, I don't know. I mean, I am more comfortable now in the year 2023 because I think they've probably got all the bugs worked out. But earlier, like before 2000, whenever I would fly, I was just like, this is not, they're still figuring stuff out about air travel. Air travel has only been a thing less than 100 years, I mean, when air travel is a thing for 500 years, then, I think people will be pretty good. But we're still on this day. And I don't know, I don't know if I remember this, or I don't know if I remember people talking about it, or I don't know if I was told about it maybe a couple of years later, and because it occurred near where I lived, it became a big thing. But when I was very little, a plane crashed on this day in 1972. And it wasn't just any old plane crash. I have studied this plane crash. On this day in 1972, United Airlines Flight 553, a Boeing 737, crashes after aborting its landing attempt at Chicago's Midway Airport. Killed 45 people. This is the first ever loss of a Boeing 737. So here's the story on this. I lived in this neighborhood very close to Midway Airport when this happened. And so I don't know if I remember, because I would have only been like 2 years old. So, but I do remember something. Like I remember this being a thing. Here's the deal. So the plane took off from Washington Dulles Airport. It was flying to Midway. It attempted to land at the runways at Midway Airport, which are very difficult because Midway Airport is one of the oldest airports in the nation. And because of this, it's not set out in the middle of nowhere the way most airports are. Most airports are surrounded by like 10 miles of just highway and brushland. There's usually airports are out in the middle of nowhere. Love Field here in Dallas is another good example of an older airport that is sort of situated in a neighborhood, but not the way Midway is. Midway is smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood. I mean, there are literally 50 yards away from the end of the runway, there are people's front yards, so it's a little bit more treacherous when you're trying to land at Midway. This plane aborted its landing and then crashed into a whole bunch of houses, just people in normal houses, middle of the day. Now, terrible. On the surface, that's just a terrible situation. But this plane had a lot of shit going on, man. This plane crash had a lot of stuff going on. First of all, we were in the middle of the Watergate stuff. Okay, right? There was a whole bunch of Watergate nonsense going on, percolating. People involved in Watergate were making moves behind the scenes. I don't know. You ever seen House of Cards? You know how that stuff works. You ever watch The West Wing? They were making moves behind the scenes. And so let me just read to you about this plane crash. United Airlines Flight 563 was a scheduled flight from Washington Airport to Omaha, Nebraska via Chicago Midway. So it was going from Washington, D.C. to Omaha, Nebraska, but it was stopping in Chicago at Midway first. On December 8th, 1972, the Boeing 737 serving the flight crashed during an aborted landing and go-around while approaching Midway Airport. The plane crashed into a residential neighborhood, destroying 5 houses. There was an intense ground fire. 43 of the 61 aboard the aircraft and 2 on the ground were killed. Here's where it gets interesting. Now remember, among the passengers killed on this plane, Congressman George W. Collins, CBS News correspondent Michelle Clark, and Dorothy Hunt, the wife of Watergate co-conspirator E. Howard Hunt. This crash was the first fatal accident involving a Boeing 737. Now, those people on the plane, they were all, the CBS News person was working Watergate. The Congressman, have to go into that much about but Hunt, the wife of Howard Hunt, was on the plane. Now, here are some of the conspiracy theories that surround this. And I don't know why this isn't a bigger Q theory, because this is a good one. This is an interesting one. Dorothy Hunt's death aboard the plane led to the accident becoming caught up in rumors and conspiracy theories related to the unfolding Watergate scandal. Hunt was carrying $10,000 in $100 bills when the plane crashed, and many alleged that this money was meant for people connected to Watergate. James McCord alleges that Hunt supplied the Watergate defendants with money for legal expenses. The FBI's appearance at the crash scene was also regarded by some as unusually fast. Skeptics of the official narrative speculated that the plane was targeted due to Hunt's presence on board and that sabotage of the flight was covered up by government agencies. As a result, the accident became known as the Watergate crash. That was on this day. Just it's a weird. I'll tell you, do a deep dive on this crash. It's very weird. And I'm not a conspiracy guy, but I think we took that plane down. I think we took that plane down. I think that Hunt was, she was in Chicago to make payoffs to defendants and attorneys who were defending or prosecuting, whatever the situation was. But I think she was taken out. I think she also had documents. That's what I think, because that's the other story, that there is a attaché case that she had that was not found at the scene that somebody got. So who knows what that's about. That was on this day in 1972. And I remember that. And I don't know if I remember that because the adults in my family had been sitting around dinner tables for years talking about it because it was such a weird thing. Or I don't know if I actually remember the day the plane crashed in adjacent to the neighborhood that I was living in. I don't know, but I do remember that. On this day in 1980, here's another bad one. I remember where I was when this happened. Isn't that weird? 2 stories in a row where you remember. Well, actually, I guess the first one, the plane crash, I don't really remember where I was. This one, I remember exactly where I was. On this day in 1980, John Lennon is murdered by Mark David Chapman in front of the Dakota in New York City. I remember where I was because it was Monday Night Football. That's the famous Monday Night Football broadcast where it's like Howard Cosell and Frank Gifford, I think. I don't know who else was there. Maybe OJ. Crazy times. Like I said, there were no rules in the 80s. It was Howard Cosell who broke the news. Like in the third quarter of the football game. We are receiving some very troubling news, Dandy Don. You know, it was like that kind of thing. And then Howard was like, John Lennon, Beatle, shot today in front of his apartment in Dakota, New York. It was a big deal. And I remember sitting everybody, that's how America found out that John Lennon had been murdered. Howard Cosell on Monday Night Football broke that. On this day in 2004, my God, is this, now this is legitimately at least 2 in a row where I specifically remember where I was when this news broke. Holy cow, was this a big story. In 2004, Columbus nightclub shooting. Nathan Gale opens fire at the Ultra Villa nightclub in Columbus, Ohio, killing former Pantera guitarist Dimebag Darrell and 3 others before being shot to death by a police officer. Whoa, man. Oh, God. I remember this happened at night and I was watching CNN and I remember when CNN broke in with this. Now CNN is always late. Now I know this because of all the great internet news, breaking news streamers that are out there. At the time, CNN will report something 2 hours after it happens, 2 hours after other people online are already streaming live and reporting it. And so this was back in 2004. So obviously there was no streaming. So when CNN popped this up, it had probably happened hours earlier. Now that I think about that. This was rough. This was rough here for Dallas because, of course, Pantera, beloved local band, probably the most beloved local band in Dallas history. Remember the Abbott brothers, whether it was Vinnie Paul or Dimebag, members of the community. They were everywhere. They were business owners. You certainly in media. I was working in local media. Yeah, any kind of media event you do. The Pantera guys are here. Yeah, check it out. Crazy. A rock star assassinated on stage because it wasn't what he was blamed. Nathan Gale blamed Dimebag Darrell for the breakup of Pantera. So he decided to jump on stage and just kill. What an unbelievable. I can tell you, I had occasion to know Dime a little bit, just friendly social occasions. He was a really nice guy. He was much friendlier, at least in my view, than Vinnie Paul was. Vinnie Paul was very stoic. Vinnie Paul was kind of quiet, nice, not mean or anything, but didn't really give you anything. Dimebag was kind of cool. Like Dimebag made you feel like you weren't just hanging out somewhere you shouldn't have been hanging out. You know what I mean? Like, whereas Vinnie Paul, if you were in like a back room, like a VIP room somewhere or something, and it was just a bunch of people and Vinnie Paul was like the one Pantera guy, it might be a little icy because Vinnie just kind of always stuck with his own little group and he wasn't maybe as social. I don't even know that Dimebag could be described as social, but I can tell you that he always made me feel more welcome than Vinnie did. It's crazy that they're both gone now. These 2 guys, so young, so vibrant, successful, rock icons in metal, both of them. Crazy. It was on this day that Dimebag passed away. Dimebag Darrell killed on this day at the Alrosa Villa nightclub in Columbus, Ohio. On this day in 2013, Metallica performs a show in Antarctica, making them the first band to perform on all 7 continents. Did they just set up in Antarctica? What are they playing for, penguins? What? There ain't nobody in Antarctica. They just did that. Okay, whatever. Cool, I guess. Metallica, if your ego needs that, if your ego needs for you to be the only band that has performed on all 7 continents, even though that we know that the 7th continent of Antarctica isn't really a place where a band would ever play because nobody lives there, whatever. You can have that. A couple of months back, I watched that Some Kind of Monster documentary on Metallica. These guys are all awful. These guys are all the most self-indulgent, narcissistic. I swear to God. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Metallica. But these guys they're a thing. They're definitely a thing. All right, let's get into some birthdays here. Let's celebrate some of the people who were born under the world onto this day. How about we go back to 1765? Eli Whitney. Yeah. Excuse me. I don't have to cover because there's nobody here. Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin. Changed the world. I don't know, did he? Do we still use cotton gins? Or have we improved on that? I think we probably improved on that. Born on this day in 1925, Sammy Davis Jr., American actor, singer, and dancer, member of the Rat Pack. Born on this day in 1933, Flip Wilson. Flip Wilson was there was a time in this country where we allowed two black guys to be funny on white TV. Yeah, that's pretty much how it was looked at back then. It was Bill Cosby and Flip Wilson. And then later, Richard Pryor. But originally, it was Bill Cosby and Flip Wilson, and they were the two black people that were allowed to be funny, and I don't know what. Flip Wilson was every bit as big as Bill Cosby was until probably the 1970s and 80s when Bill Cosby started getting hit after hit on television. But Flip Wilson was funny. He had the Flip Wilson show. I believe Flip Wilson is the first black man to host his own show, to headline his own show. He was funny. Geraldine, he did a lot of stuff in drag, which would have been very timely for today. Flip Wilson, born on this day in 1933. He's Bill Cosby without all the raping. That's it. Just think of him that way now in history. He died, though. He died young. Died in 1998. Born on this day in 1943, Jim Morrison, American singer, songwriter, and poet. The Doors, Jim Morrison. I'm a big music fan, and I like to really go deep into music and all that stuff. And I had a period in my life where I went really deep into the Doors, and I hope I don't anger anybody, but the Doors are way overrated, man. It's not even good poetry. I'm sorry. Jim Morrison was a poet. Well, how do you define poetry? If you read something and you don't get it, you call that poetry? Is that what it is? You just don't get poetry? Because Jim Morrison, that was bad poetry. That was bad art school poetry. But whatever, they said it to some music and they had some hits. I just think the Doors are a little overrated. I really do. Not my cup of tea. We'll leave it at that. Born on this day in 1947, another rock guy, Greg Allman. Greg Allman was born on this day in 1947. He died on this, not on this day, but he died in 2017. Greg Allman Brothers. He was married to Cher for a period of time. Allman Brothers are great. Allman Brothers are a great band. Here's the thing about separate the art from the artist. Okay, so here's a little difficulty with Greg Allman. Greg Allman met a 16-year-old girl in Fort Worth once, and he just basically kidnapped her. She was like she ran away from home at 16. She jumped on his tour bus, and she became Greg Allman, who at the time was like a man in his late 40s. Or whatever. She was 16. She dropped out of high school. She got on the bus with Greg Allman. He made her girlfriend and then turned her into like one of the biggest porn stars in porn history. The porn star Savannah is who I'm talking about. She was a major adult film star in the early 90s. Fort Worth girl. Little local girl. Went to high school with my friend Richard Hunter. You know Richard Hunter? He knew Savannah. He knew Savannah before she was Savannah. Before Greg Allman got his mitts in her, dragged her out to Hollywood, and then pimped her out to the porn industry. At least that's how the story goes. So whatever. So enjoy your Greg Allman music, but just know born on this day in 1953, Kim Basinger, American actress. Kim Basinger, she was like the most beautiful woman in the world for a couple of years. There was a period of time when Kim Basinger was the biggest female actress in America. She was it. She was the tops. She hadn't done anything in like 20 years, right? What is she doing? She hiding away? That's a rough one. That's a rough one for me. I made the joke yesterday that, who was it? Jo Beth Williams. It was Jo Beth Williams' birthday. And I said, Jo Beth Williams was like a major American star. And then she turned 35. So she had to go away because that's how it used to be with actresses. You turn 35 and it's like, yeah, we can't use you anymore. And Kim Basinger is another one of these women who were so defined by their beauty. She's a good actress too. Kim Basinger's not a slouch. Kim Basinger can do stuff. But she was so defined by her beauty that is there an emotional crisis that occurs when you realize you're not 23 years old anymore? And I think there's been a lot of stories about Kim Basinger and her mental state, and Alec Baldwin had some problems with her and all that. Apparently it's been reported that she's a bit of an agoraphobic, which means Kim Basinger doesn't leave her house. I don't know. I was just watching. I made mention of House of Cards. I've been re-binging House of Cards on Netflix, and someone who I consider in the same kind of grouping with Kim Basinger is Robin Wright. Robin Wright, who's the star of one of the star. Well, she's star of the final season when they kicked Kevin Spacey off. But Robin Wright is also this beautiful woman who is almost entirely defined not by her talent as an actress, but by her beauty. And man, I'm telling you, Robin Wright Penn's like 60 years old. Woo, she's doing elegant now. She's doing dignified. She's still beautiful. Women can remain gorgeous and desirable well past what most people in society would call their expiration date. For me, anyway. I mean, if they just stop trying to be a 22-year-old club girl at 50, that there is women are sexy, grown, mature, elegant, dignified, sophisticated women are sexy. They don't all have to be just like little cheerleader girls. Doesn't that get tiring? So Kim Basinger, I'd like to see a comeback for Kim Basinger, is I guess what I'm saying. I don't think I've seen her. I don't know what she looks like. I mean, Kim Basinger is a woman in her 60s, but quite frankly, she started out as Kim Basinger, so she's probably doing really well, right? I mean, have you seen Christy Brinkley? Christy Brinkley looks like she hasn't aged in 40 years. Robin Wright Penn. I guess it's not Robin Wright Penn anymore, but Robin Wright, who I compare to Kim Basinger in this regard. Robin Wright Penn doesn't look 30. Robin Wright Penn doesn't look 35. Robin Wright looks like a 50-something-year-old woman, and she's gorgeous. So I don't know. I'd like to see a comeback for Kim Basinger. I'd like to see her come. Jessica Lange did it, right, with the American Horror Story shows, right? Jessica Lange disappeared for like 20 years and then came back, and people were like, "Holy crap, she's like an American treasure. She's like a terrific actress." So happy birthday to you, Kim Basinger. Well, actually, wait a second. How old is Kim Basinger now that I look at this? She was born in 1953. Kim Basinger is actually much older than I thought she was. Yeah, I know. I could do the math. 69. Wow. All right. Kim Basinger is 69. So a little bit older than Robin Wright Penn. Maybe Robin Wright. You know who else is in the 6th season of House of Cards with Robin Wright Penn? Robin Wright. Another woman who is an absolute stunner in 1986, who has, aged into an absolute stunner at whatever age she is. Diane Lane. You know the actress Diane Lane? She plays like the big what would I say? The adversary of Robin Wright in the final season of House of Cards. And man, I'm looking at these two women. These two women are like 60 years old. I'm like, these two women are gorgeous. These two women. So, Kim Basinger can do it. Kim Basinger can come back. Although I do think, the reports over the years have been that she's got some other issues. Like there's some other things going on with her. Born on this day in 1953, umbilical cousins with Kim Basinger. I almost called Kim Basinger the great Kim Basinger because you know what? I really did like her back in the day. Born on this day in 1953. Never saw him live. Whoa, can't believe when sometimes these things slip away from you. Never saw him live. But from what I've seen on television, I put this person as the single greatest worker of a comedy stage in the history of stand-up comedy. Nobody jumped out on this stage and just took it over. Oh, there have been some. There have been some who prowl the stage from side to side and they control the audience in the palm of their hand. That's not rare. What's rare is the way Sam Kinison did it. Sam Kinison, born on this day in 1953, American comedian, died in 1992, way too young. Sam Kinison attacked the comedy stage. You have to understand, this was at a time in comedy when comedians were told that everything was being filmed back then. You know the thing. You've seen the comedian with the suspenders, and he's standing in front of the brick wall doing stand-up comedy in 1987. That was the way it was. And all of these stand-up comics were instructed not to move around, because in most cases, when they were doing their stand-up sets, the camera would be static. There wouldn't be a camera operator. The camera was just set up in the back of the room to film their set. So you had an entire generation of comedians who basically, stood right in front of the mic and didn't move. Maybe they moved a little, maybe they did a little. Sam Kinison changed that. Around 1986, when Sam Kinison took the stage, first of all, he was coked out of his mind. So there was no way that he was going to be standing there to think. But the way he prowled the stage, Sam, just imagine Sam Kinison doing his stand-up set right now. Close your eyes and imagine Sam Kinison. He's walking, isn't he? In your image, Sam Kinison is walking the stage from side to side. He's not standing there. Sam Kinison was great. Born on this day in 1953. Born on this day in 1964, Terry Hatcher. Terry Hatcher, American actress. Terry Hatcher, another one, super, super successful. And then what? She turned 35. Hollywood can't use her anymore. Terry Hatcher's probably still gorgeous. She's a beautiful woman. Women don't... Born on this day in 1966. You want to talk about how history has a way of adjudicating sins? And not often in the way you think it should be. Here's someone who we all need to at least go, you know what? We were really wrong about that. Celebrating a birthday today, born on this day in 1966, Sinead O'Connor. Sinead O'Connor, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Sinead's another one of these ladies with a little bit of brain scramblies at times. She's got some issues. She's very upfront about all of her issues. Tragically, her son just a couple of months ago committed suicide. That put her back in the news. But Sinead O'Connor was basically destroyed as an artist in America. Not overseas. She's still very big in Europe, very big in England, Ireland, all that stuff. But in America, she was basically destroyed because of what she did on Saturday Night Live. When she came out on Saturday Night Live and ripped up the picture of the Pope. Oh my God. Oh, the backlash on her for that. Do you remember what that protest was about? Do you? Because she's been vindicated. Just so you know, if you're still holding on to fucking Sinead O'Connor, fucking commie bald bitch, all the stuff that was coming up, non-Catholics, people who weren't even Catholic, how's she gonna tear up that picture of the Pope? She was provocative because she didn't have hair. That's why I think a lot of people didn't like her. Fact of the matter is that she was the first person to publicly stand up and accuse the Catholic Church on a stage like that of all of the crimes that now years later we know that she was right about. Nobody, we think people have been talking about the Catholic Church scandal for 50 years. No, it picked up in the mid-90s. It picked up in the years following what Sinead O'Connor did. Her career was trashed in this country. Her record company dropped her. She got bumped from all of these tours that she was on. She paid the price for standing up and saying, hey, are we going to do anything about the Catholic Church molesting all these children? And because nobody had really been talking about it, at least publicly, but the Catholic Church, we Catholics knew shit was going on. But publicly, nobody was really talking about it because Catholic Church was so powerful. And then she comes out, she tears up the picture of the Pope, and everybody's like, she can't say that about our Pope. Wait a second, you're Lutheran. You're not even a Pope. But I'm Christian. No, stop it. She's Christian too. In fact, she's really Christian. She's hardcore Christian, Sinead O'Connor. She's like a priest now. That's what she is now. She became like a priest in some weird Catholic offshoot religion. Anyway, her career was destroyed for doing that. Her career was destroyed in 1993 or whatever for calling out the Catholic Church. Then a couple of years later, everybody's doing it. It became all the rage to call out the Catholic. She was the brave one. She went first. She put that story out there. And then through criticizing her, some people went, well, maybe we ought to look into this. And then boom, it's been a story for 30 years now. Sinead O'Connor did that. We owe her an apology. Whatever you think of her, she went first. And what do they say? Pioneers. She's a pioneer in this regard. Pioneers get the arrows. Settlers get the land. That's what she was. She was the pioneer whose career took all of the arrows for saying that, and then the settler was whoever from Time Magazine won a Pulitzer for writing about it 2 years later. Right? That's the settler. Sinead's the pioneer. She was killed by Indian arrows, and then the settlers who went, we can live here. They won a Pulitzer for writing about it. Terry Hatcher, we talked about her, right? I don't know. Yeah, Terry Hatcher, Sinead O'Connor. And happy birthday to Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj celebrating a birthday today. Go to the beach. Let's go get a wave. I love Nicki Minaj. I used to not make a distinction between Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, but now I do. I like Nicki. Nicki seems nice. She's just fun. Yeah, not my type. Okay, right? A little bit. But I'd like to go to a party with Nicki Minaj. I'd like to go to multiple parties with Nicki Minaj. I would like to ride in the backseat of a car going from one party to the next party with Nicki Minaj. I think Nicki Minaj would be fun in that situation. Happy birthday, Nicki Minaj. You seem like a lot of fun. How about some deaths on this day? On this day in 1978, Golda Meir, the Israeli educator and politician. She was the fourth prime minister of Israel. She died in this day, 1978. We already talked about John Lennon. John Lennon died on this day in 1980, killed by an assassin's bullet. Dead on this day in 1997. Bob Bell. You know who Bob Bell is? Bob Bell's my bozo. Bozo the Clown. Bob Bell, Bozo the Clown, died on this day in 1997. Who was the other bozo? Who replaced Bob Bell? Why would I know that, right? Why would I know? Well, because Bozo is produced in Chicago, and Bozo is like he's like a big celebrity in Chicago. You know, he's like Dale Hansen, except not. You know what I mean? He's like a local celebrity who's also nationally known because he's Bozo the Clown. But Joey Dioria, yeah, wasn't that it? It was Bob Bell was replaced by Joey Dioria. Joey Dioria was not as good a bozo because I think Joey Dioria was short. Bob Bell was tall. My bozo's tall. Who else do we have here? Dimebag died on this day in 2004. American singer-songwriter, Pantera, killed on stage in Ohio. We talked about that as well. Dimebag Darrell and John Lennon on the same day. That's interesting. I mean, I'm not comparing the two. I mean, they're both rock stars. They're both very successful rock stars. They're both beloved, but John Lennon was a Beatle, so a little different. On this day in 2016, John Glenn died. American astronaut, senator, first American go into orbit. Portrayed by who played him? I always want to say that Scott Glenn played John Glenn in The Right Stuff, but it was Ed Harris. One of the great Ed Harris roles. John Glenn, American hero. And on this day, also dead, 2019. We told this story because it's one of my son's favorite rappers. Juice WRLD. Juice WRLD died on this day in 2019. You remember the story? I just told it a couple of days ago. He was flying in his private jet from Los Angeles to his home in Chicago. He was alerted that there were police on the ground in Chicago that were looking for drugs, and Juice WRLD had a whole bunch of pills on him, and he didn't want to get caught for the pills. So while the plane was sitting surrounded by police at Midway Airport, Juice WRLD ate all the pills. He ate all the pills and he died of a massive overdose. And the police weren't looking for guns, or they were looking for guns. They weren't looking for drugs. So whatever. Probably could have hit him, but they were looking for guns. No word on whether there were guns on the plane, but Juice WRLD was rushed to the hospital where he died. He's only like 19 years old. Crazy, 19, 20, something like that. Just a young, stupid kid just going to do all the drugs because you're like 19, you got a Learjet. You just flew from Hollywood to your hometown of Chicago in your Learjet. Make better decisions. Whatever some of those decisions were that led you to this point, try and replicate those. And don't do all the drugs. That's not the decision you should be doing. All right. Let's see here. What is trending? The big stories that are trending. I guess this happened yesterday, but for some reason it's still trending now. Respect for Marriage Act passes. So what does that mean, the respect for marriage? So gay marriage is now gay marriage, interracial marriage, all of that stuff seems to be protected. I don't know. I'm fine with both. I don't have a problem. People want to love each other, love each other. I don't understand why we need to put that in paper. Just in case like some idiot goes, people shouldn't be allowed to love whoever they want. Then what? We can point at the piece of paper and go, no, we wrote it down back in 2023. We've really got a lot of evolving to do as human beings. The fact that two people who have no attachment to us, be it a white man and a black woman, or two men or two women, the very idea that watching them, seeing them from across the room or holding hands in the target, the very idea that triggers us means you are a pussy. You are such a mental midget. If you have a problem with somebody being married to a person of a different color, you're wrong, and get over yourself. Stop it. They don't affect you. Love is good, man. We need to manufacture more love in this world. More people need to care about each other. Why do you give a shit if it's a black man and a white woman, or a white woman and a black man, or two men or two women? I don't get it. It's quite frankly, it's embarrassing as a human in the year 2023 that they had to argue about that in such an esteemed body as the United States Congress, but they did, and now it's a thing. Brittany Griner is trending. Of course, that's the really big story that everybody seems to be talking about. Brittany Griner, the women's basketball player, the WNBA player who was taken about a year ago. It was like 9 months, 10 months ago or something. She was arrested in Russia because she was really stupid about weed. This entire situation is because she was fucking stupid. Okay. I'm glad she's back. I'm glad she's safe. Nobody wanted to see. I don't believe anybody should be arrested anywhere for weed ever. That's kind of my whole thing. But she knows the law of the land over there. She knew what she was doing. She knew that she wasn't supposed to have marijuana in a country where it's illegal, and she still had it. And again, these are not major crimes. These are not major transgressions. These are not things that I think she deserves to be thrown in jail for. I don't think anybody deserves to be. Again, I think that these are all ridiculous laws. But she did it knowingly, right? She did it knowingly, and the domino effect of this public outcry, celebrities, from LeBron James to Kerry Washington to Michelle Obama, talking about we got to get her back. We got to get her back. I'm glad she's back. I'm glad they got her back. But, let's not forget that and by the way, what do we do? So we gave up this big arms dealer that the Russians wanted. So we did a swap. So we gave the Russians a legitimate global criminal. We gave them legitimately, we had this guy arrested who deserves to be arrested because he's an international terrorist and a global arms dealer. That's why we've got him, and we're keeping him from, being able to do his thing in the world. So then Russia just snatches like not even a A-list celebrity. Imagine if they took Clooney, Jennifer Lawrence, imagine. So Brittany Griner, it's a minor sport. She is a celebrity. She's not a celebrity because, your grandma and my grandma, would check the stats of Brittany Griner every day when they wake up in the morning newspaper. She's a celebrity because I don't know. I don't know why we know her name. Hell, I don't know why half the celebrities in the world are celebrities today with this whole influencer thing. But Brittany Griner is a name. Not entirely sure why. People don't watch NBA, the WNBA. They don't watch it. I'm sorry. It's fine. I think it's great that it exists. I think that women should be able to play basketball. But why are you having women play basketball in 18,000 seat arenas when they're only selling 1,200 seats per ticket? Every game you're showing looks like a failure. Don't do that. WNBA play in smaller arenas. Pack them. Make them crazy madhouses. You know what I mean? Like small colleges. Get nuts with it. Stop trying to force 18,000 people into a stadium to watch WNBA basketball when teams like, the Detroit Pistons can't fit 18,000. They can't draw 18,000. So stop it. Anyway, so Griner's back. That's good. She's on a plane. She's coming back. We gave up a very serious terrorist to get her. The United States of America had to give up something that was making the world safer. Theoretically, we had this guy in jail. He was making the world safer. We had him under wraps, and we had to give that up. We had to make the world unsafe because Brittany Griner wanted to get high in her hotel room in Moscow. She's back. She's safe. That's all good. But let's not forget, She did this herself. This was she was not walking her dog on a Moscow street in the middle of the night when a black van pulled up and she was abducted. That's not what happened. She knowingly broke a law. I'm glad she's home. Knock wood. I hope she recovers. I hope that whatever happens to her, good for her. But let's not forget, she knew what she was doing. Okay, so there's the Brittany Griner thing. She's coming back. That's good. Paul Whelan. Now, this is an issue. Paul Whelan is another American who is over there. Now, the Paul Whelan thing, folks, we need to take a breath on Paul Whelan. Paul Whelan was not released. Paul Whelan has been there for 3 years. The deal was Brittany Griner for the arms guy. Putin's like, give me the arms guy. And we're like, give us Brittany. And they're like, okay, fine. And then we were like, but what about Paul Whelan? And he's like, yeah, no, you're not getting him. You're gonna get your little basketball player that means absolutely nothing. It means nothing to the United States security globally or anything like that. But you're going to get her back because LeBron James wants her back. So we're going to give her back. But no, you can't have Paul Whelan. Paul Whelan's going to stay. We're going to keep him here because he's a legit prisoner. He's Brittany Griner, stupid, weed, all that. Paul Whelan, legit prisoner. So they didn't get Paul Whelan back. A lot of people are angry now. A lot of people are like, how you going to get Brittany? Because the deal was for Brittany Griner. You know why? Because Americans, the average rank and file American, cares about Brittany Griner, not Paul Whelan. That's a fact. That is a fact. People don't know who Paul Whelan is. You don't know who people who watch Newsmax and Fox News and all of this stuff because they know who Paul Whelan is because it's a big story. It's a big narrative. It's a political narrative that why won't they bring the brave, heroic Marine back? All that stuff. He's a Marine. He needs to be taken. We don't leave our Marines behind. More on that in a minute. But do we know who Paul Whelan is? I mean, all right, first of all, Paul Whelan's family, who have been very active throughout this whole Brittany Griner thing. First they were at odds with the White House, then they're friendly with the White House. Now they're friendly with the White House. Here is this is from Paul Whelan's twin brother, David. Okay, this is a statement that was released by American, I'm going to call him a hostage, prisoner, whatever. American prisoner in Russia, Paul Whelan. This is from his twin brother on the day that Brittany Griner was released and not his brother. So here's what Paul Whelan's brother says. I am so glad that Brittany Griner is on her way home. As the family member of a Russian hostage, I can literally only imagine the joy she will have being reunited with her loved ones and in time for the holidays. There is no greater success than for a wrongful detainee to be freed and for them to go home. Except, you see, she wasn't wrongfully detained. She did have weed. So she's not wrongfully detained. Maybe we might determine that their sentencing for minor drug offenses seem a bit draconian, but it's not our country. See, that's why when you go to another country, you have to really pay attention to their rules, because what might be a slap on the wrist here could be a hanging offense there, and you've got to be aware of this. So I push back on the whole thing, about her being. There's no greater success than for a wrongful detainee to be freed and for them to go home. Paul Whelan's twin brother says the Biden administration made the right decision to bring Miss Griner home and to make the deal that was possible, rather than waiting for one that wasn't going to happen. This time, U.S. government officials let us know in advance that Paul would be left behind, unlike last April when they left him. That early warning meant that our family has been able to mentally prepare for what is now a public disappointment and a catastrophe for Paul. I do not know if he is aware yet, although he will surely learn from Russian media. Our parents have had calls with him every day since his return to IK-17, I don't know what that means, on December 2nd, and they will surely speak to him soon. It goes on to say all this stuff, but the Whelan family is saying, no, we get it. We're not upset. I mean, we're upset. We'd like to have him home, but we get why he didn't come home here. So thank you. Thank you to the Whelan family for at least, not trying to throw gasoline on what could be just such a needless. Now, a lot of what we're seeing is stuff about Paul Whelan, he's a Marine, and all this good stuff, and now he's just an honorable boy next door, all-American Marine who was just over there for a wedding, and now he's been in prison. I mean, are you looking into it? I mean, have you seen Paul Whelan? First of all, that entire narrative is bullshit. But Paul Whelan's Canadian, all right? He was a Canadian. He was born in Canada. He's not even American. He moved to America when he was younger. And yeah, he was a Marine, but he's not currently a Marine. He's not currently a Marine. He's not a current active duty United States. Well, that doesn't matter. He still served honorably and he served proudly, and we have to go back and get him. He was dishonorably discharged from the Marines. He was a Canadian dishonorably discharged. Okay, so all of these things are like a little bit, right? Whatever. It's still sad because he's still being kept over there. But here's the other thing. The dude is a spy. Paul Whelan is without a doubt a spy. Are you kidding me? Do you know his background? He keeps multiple citizenships. He's got Irish citizenship, Canadian citizenship, American citizenship, and British citizenship. He has passports for all of those countries. Paul Nicholas Whelan is a Canadian-born former United States Marine with U.S., British, Irish, and Canadian citizenships. He was arrested in Russia on December 28th, 2018, and accused of spying. Now, the narrative that we hear from a lot of people with political agendas is that they're calling him a spy. He was just a Marine who went to a wedding in Moscow for his old war buddy. I know that's the narrative, but that's not. Dude's got a shoebox filled with passports. I've seen the Bourne movies. The guy speaks multiple languages. He's got citizenship in multiple countries. Come on, man. This is not just an innocent little Marine who was out having a smoke behind the banquet facility in Moscow at the wedding, and then again a black man pulled up. No. This guy is involved in stuff. To think that we're not involved in stuff is just crazy. So let's go into it. He was arrested in Russia on December 28th, 2018, and accused of spying. On June 15th, 2020, he received a 16-year prison sentence. He is described as a corporate security director. He received a bad conduct discharge from the United States Marine Corps. He was reported to have previously worked as a police officer in Michigan. Let's see. Where is this story? What was he accused of? Okay, so here's the arrest. This is what he was arrested for. So again, remember, drummed out of the Marine Corps, has multiple international passports, speaks multiple language. On his tax return, it says that he is an international security a corporate international security expert. Corporate spying, whatever. I don't know, man. But the dude's got some stuff that it's like, he's not just some local kid who joined the Marines and accidentally got. This dude is involved in some stuff, okay? He is. And on December 28th, 2018, Whelan was arrested in Moscow by Russian Federal Security Services, FSB, basically their FBI, which later confirmed his arrest. Whelan's twin brother, David, said Whelan arrived in Moscow on December 22nd to attend the wedding of a former fellow Marine at the Hotel Metropole Moscow and to assist the groom's family members on their first visit to Russia, a country that he had visited many times and was very familiar with. He said his brother planned to return to Michigan on January 6, 2019. Per MBK News, an outlet run by Putin critic Mikhail Khodorkovsky, Whelan had, okay, so this is according to news reports of Putin critics. This is a newspaper that does not support Putin's party line and all the nonsense. So this newspaper in Russia reported Whelan had 80 grand in cash on him. 80 grand in cash when he was arrested. 80 grand in cash. During a customs inspection at the airport, it was seized. Whelan had acted as a local guide for the wedding guests, but had decided to spend the day of the wedding to meet a friend instead. So he's there. He didn't even go to the wedding the day of the wedding that he was supposedly there for. That was his cover. I'm going to a wedding. He didn't even go to the wedding. The day of the wedding, instead, he met with this person who he believed was a friend of his, who turned out to be a member of the SSB, the FSB, which is the Russian FBI. So instead of going to the wedding, he went and made this deal with this guy in a hotel room in Russia, according to the Russian news agents. Okay, so here's what did he do? Per the account of other, Whelan had acted as a local guide. He had decided to spend the day of the wedding meeting a friend instead. Per the account, David said his brother entered Russia using his U.S. passport. He said his brother had not been in contact with his family. He was formally charged on January 3rd. According to the Russian news agency Rosbal, Whelan was apprehended in his hotel room at the Metropole while concluding a long outing with a Russian citizen who handed him a USB drive containing a list of all the employees at the classified security agency. This Russian citizen is supposed to be the Russian FSB agent, the agent who was basically working Whelan. Whelan thought he was, getting some classified stuff or whatever, and he made this friend. This Russian person then handed Whelan all of this supposed clandestine information. He took it, went back to his hotel room. Why is he taking it? Obviously, he knows what it is and he knows what to do with it. If you handed it to me while I was in Russia, I'd be like, I don't know what to do with this. But obviously, this guy did, and that's when he was arrested. So this idea that he isn't a spy, we have spies. We have spies. The United States of America has a lot of spies. And this guy who is in Russia wasn't just picked up because he's a random American citizen. There are thousands and thousands of random American citizens in Russia at any given time, and they're not being picked up off the streets and arrested. My point is that all of these people were doing something. Brittany Griner knows what she did. Brittany Griner knows that she was trying to get high in Moscow. She knows that that's illegal, and she got caught. And the situation that developed around it is because of that. Paul Whelan, I think, was an active spook. I think he was come on, man. How many passports do you have? How many countries are you a recognized citizen of? And how does that even happen? Like, how do I just suddenly become a citizen? Like, I get, okay, so he's born in Canada, so maybe he's got dual citizenship with Canada and America. But how do you get an Irish passport? How do you get an English passport? What is something? Come on, man. So I hope we get him home, Yeah, I feel for his family. But this idea, this narrative that I'm reading, that he is some innocent victim, that he is just, they left him behind. And I'm like, yeah, because he's a spy, because he's got legit shit. They don't need Brittany Griner. They don't want to hold up. What is she going to do? She going to run a prison yard basketball camp? What is Brittany Griner going to give to the Putin people, right? She can't give them anything other than, populist cachet, because the people of America wanted her. So Putin saw an opportunity. He's like, I can give America back somebody that their WNBA fans want, but doesn't really do America any good to get her back. She's not really, but I'm going to keep the spy. I'm going to keep the spy who knows all of this stuff, and we're going to keep pressing him. So that's basically what happened. But again, just don't fall victim to the narrative that, these are two innocent people who were just swept up off the street by, this is an act of war. They arrested a WNBA. Oh, stop it. Micah Parsons is trending. Micah Parsons is trending because of this very story. Micah Parsons. Who doesn't love Micah Parsons? Micah. Oh, here's what I love about Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons sent out a tweet that said, they left a Marine behind? No, like that was just basically the tweet. Micah Parsons commented on it during a tweet about leaving Paul Whelan behind, and Micah Parsons did the whole, they left a Marine behind? Dishonorably discharged one. Does that change the narrative, Micah? Or didn't you know that? Micah, were you working out this morning and Fox News was on and you heard some shit and now you're just going to tweet it? Did you know? Did you know what Paul Whelan is? Because, yeah, he's a Marine, but the United States Marine left him behind. The United States Marine said, yeah, he's not a Marine no more. So, so Micah Parsons getting pounded by all the crazy lefty liberal weirdos. They're all going after Micah Parsons. They're calling him pass Rush Limbaugh. It's just funny to think of it. That's pass rush. Pass rush. You know, like Micah Parsons, pass rush. Pass rush Limbaugh is what's trending on Twitter right now because of Micah Parsons. So Micah had to fix that. Micah had to make another tweet. And here is the most recent tweet from Dallas Cowboys superstar Micah Parsons. He says, oh, wait. I'm sorry. I can't find this now. Oh, my bad. Did I click on the wrong thing? All right, let me see here. Okay, so here's what Micah Parsons said. He sent a second tweet. Micah Parsons says, my last tweet was no shot at Brittany Griner. I'm super happy that she's back, as she should be. I just have family who have served, and it's crazy to me the president wouldn't bring him home too. Well, it's crazy to you because you're stupid. It's crazy to you because you don't understand international diplomacy. It's crazy to you because you have no clue, obviously, that the guy you're touting as a brave Marine because you've got Marines in your family was dishonorably discharged from the Marine Corps. Micah, take a deep breath. Wikipedia is there. Google is there. It's available for all of us. We can get briefed up on all of these things so that we don't say things we regret. Micah Parsons then goes on to say, I am the furthest thing from a Trump supporter, says Micah Parsons. But I'm also not a big fan of Biden either, Micah Parsons. Mike and I kind of agree. On that. I'm not a big fan of Biden either. I don't think Biden knows what's happening. I don't think he's demented or anything. I'm not going to play into that ridiculous narrative. I just think he's a man of a different era. And I think that to lead America into the future, I think that we need somebody who's, not 80. I think that would be fair. Somebody who's not 80. That's all. Somebody, but also not somebody 30. Like, let's not go the other way, right? Let's not get somebody who has no life experience, who still gets really bummed out when their girlfriend doesn't text them in an appropriate time, right? I texted you 20 minutes ago. You're the president of the United States. Will you stop worrying about me texting you back? That's what we'll get with like a 29-year-old president. I guess 35 you have to be, but you know what I'm saying? You look, there are no rules. You got to be 35 to be president. Yeah, well, it also used to be that when Congress calls you to testify, you showed up no matter what. Even fucking mobsters were showing up in front. That doesn't happen anymore. So I don't really know. You probably don't even have to be born in this country anymore. Isn't this crazy, the sliding scale? Like, what if somebody suddenly got really popular, but they were born somewhere else and everybody wanted to make them president? That dude would be president. They would change it. They'd be like, the Supreme Court is meeting today on whether or not the dude from Paraguay can be president. That'll happen. It'll happen. Because nothing is real. Nothing is set in stone. Everything that I thought, look, this all goes back to that damn Malaysian airplane that disappeared. Remember the Malaysian airplane that disappeared? That changed my life. Here's why it changed my life. Because up until that point, there were just things that I took for granted. There were just simple, everyday things that I thought, for instance, here's an example. Until that moment, I did not think that it was possible for a commercial airliner somewhere in the world to just disappear. I thought, if someone had said, yeah, and the plane just disappeared, I would argue with that person before the Malaysian thing. I would argue with that person. I would say something like, no, those planes are tracks. They have transponders. How do you think they find like a black box 10,000 feet under the water? These planes, they know exactly where these planes are at all times. There is no way a plane can just disappear. And then the Malaysian plane just disappeared. And it was in that moment that I went, I don't know anything. I don't know all of this shit that I just take for granted. So who knows, right? I just don't want an 80-year-old president anymore. And I know that I don't want a 35-year-old president. All right, let's see. What else is trending here? Let's see. We're running through. Let's see. Gas prices are trending. Gas prices are dropping. People are like, yay, gas is cheaper. Apparently gasoline is cheaper now than a year ago. Nationwide averages on gas could fall below $3 for the first time in over a year. What is it here? Let's look at Gas Buddy. Let's see what the average price of gas here is. because that $3, $3. Yeah, Gas Buddy Dallas. We'll do that one. $3 a gallon is the national average, and that accounts for California having like $7 a gallon, right? So here in Texas, we're always significantly below the national average. So I don't know let's see, what is the average price right now here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for gas? Gas Buddy, $2.42. Look at this. We got $2.42 at a Sam's Club in Burleson. $2.43. Average price here in Texas, in North Texas, is significantly below that $3 goal that they're shooting for. Yeah, $2.45. All right, gas prices are looking good, which is strange because typically over the holidays, gas prices shoot up because people are spending money. People are you can grift just a little bit extra out of people in the holidays because they're like, I got a bonus. But they're not doing that. Actually, gas prices are dropping. Could drop below $3 a gallon nationwide for the first time in over a year. Okay, here's a sad one. Celine Dion is trending. Celine Dion. I don't know anything about Celine Dion. I know that Celine Dion is like a super mega star, super famous, like they're super big time, a lot of money, a lot of records. I don't know anybody who's a Celine Dion fan. Do you know anybody who's a Celine Dion fan? Maybe our moms, except my mom's way too cool to be a Celine Dion fan. Like I can't imagine she would be into that. My mom's not really into Celine Dion and Barbara Streisand and that stuff. Isn't that really what Celine Dion is? Celine Dion is just like the little sister to Barbara Streisand. Barbara Streisand was getting a little like the people that would go to a Barbara Streisand concert. Oh, we're so excited to see Barbara. Those people, Barbara's getting a little bit old. So now those people needed somebody younger. So like 20 years ago, then they gave us Celine Dion. And it was like, here, this is for you Barbara people. I don't know. I was never a big fan of Celine Dion. I'm not a big hater of Celine Dion. I have no opinion whatsoever on Celine Dion. She's just a thing that exists. I don't even know that she seems like a particularly nice person. I've never heard that she's a particularly mean person. She's just very vanilla. There's just not a whole lot there. Not a whole lot that I have. I can pretty much wax poetic on just about any celebrity. Celine Dion, I run out of stuff to talk about really quick. Canadian, I know that. She was married to like an old guy. I remember that. He's dead. She's single. I don't know. Very skinny, she is. She's also sick. That's why she's trending. So let's stop having fun with Celine Dion and let's be serious here. Celine Dion is postponing several Europe tour dates after the recent diagnosis of a rare neurological disorder that doesn't allow her to sing the way I'm used to. The superstar singer has stiff person syndrome, which affects something like 1 in a million people. Dion, 54, said in an emotional video post Thursday to her verified Instagram account. While we're still learning about this rare condition, we now know, this is her talking. While we're still learning about this rare condition, we now know that is what's been causing all of the spasms that I've been having, she said. Unfortunately, these spasms affect every aspect of my daily life, sometimes causing difficulties when I walk and not allowing me to use my vocal cords to sing the way I'm used to. I don't know what this, I've never heard of this disease. Have you? Stiff person syndrome? This is a new one on me. Stiff person syndrome, it sounds fake. It sounds phony, but I mean, it's obviously not. Stiff person syndrome is a rare progressive syndrome that affects the nervous system, specifically the brain and spinal cord. Symptoms may include extreme muscle stiffness, rigidity, and painful spasms in the trunk and limbs. What is the trunk? What is the trunk? Symptoms may include extreme muscle stiffness, rigidity, and painful spasms in the trunk and limbs. Chat room, I need my chat people. You guys are smarter than me on a lot of things. What the hell is a trunk in this context? What is a trunk? Is it your butt? Seems like a weird way to... Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Specific treatments will improve the symptoms, but will not cure the disorder. Dion has struggled with her health for a while. Yeah, I thought she was like really sick, right? Like I thought she had like a bunch of stuff. Dion has struggled with her health for a while, she said, adding she has a great team of medical professionals and her children's support. I'm working hard with my sports medicine therapists every day to build back my strength and my ability to perform. But I have to admit it's been a struggle. I miss you all so much, she said. I miss seeing all of you being on stage performing for you. Okay, so she goes on and does all that stuff. Hey, here's what I wonder about these things, because we see these pop up all the time. Like Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis, he was diagnosed with something, and now he can't act anymore. He's going to retire from acting because he's been diagnosed with something. Celine Dion with this, they're inventing new diseases, new syndromes because she's got some symptoms. This rich people thing. I could have, I could be riddled with like 15 different diseases. Shit goes wrong with me all the time. All the time. It's like, my pee smells funny. What is that? Why does my pee smell funny? See, like little things go wrong with me all the time. Like, oh my God, I just had a debilitating headache for like 40 seconds. And then it just went away. It was just like, and I'm fine. It's shit like that happens. Hey, why did my arm just go numb? We're talking about things that have been going on for 10 years in my life that I've never gone to a doctor for. But if I was like Celine Dion or Bruce Willis, I might be like, you know what? Once every 9 months or so, my arm starts to feel weird and it feels a little bit stiff. And then the doctor will diagnose me with some syndrome, and then I get to go take pills and all that. I just don't go to doctors. I probably got all kinds of stuff going on. But these celebrities that go to doctors, they got nothing to do. What's Bruce Willis doing between movies? Golfing, hanging out, walking around. He's not working on a movie. He's not doing anything. So we'll go to the doctor. And, if he's got something that he's complaining about, the doctor will find something. I would just rather be blind to it all. Just let me drop dead. Let me just drop dead. Or obviously if it gets so bad to the point where, something needs to be done. But I don't know. I always wonder about that. I'm like, I wonder what I got. Do I have prostate cancer? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, everything seems fine. There's no real symptoms. What is this headache that I got like 9 months ago that only lasted 30 seconds? And then that was weird. I've been thinking about that for a while. Why did that just never come back and be anything again? I don't know. Godspeed to you, Celine Dion, though. We hope that you recover. Harry and Meghan. Okay, so Harry and Meghan are trending. The new Netflix show. All right, so Prince Harry and Meghan have a new Netflix show, and apparently it's like Harry and Meghan's home videos, right? A bunch of stuff that they recorded themselves. Their most private, their most intimate moments, all of that kind of stuff. And it's on Netflix. And I guess it debuted yesterday, and Netflix is pushing it. Oh my God. I turn on my Netflix and it's the first thing. Hey, you want to watch this? That's what Netflix is like. The minute I turn on Netflix. Hey, how about this? You like Meghan and Harry? And I'm like, not particularly. I'm not really interested in that thing. But I guess I'm going to have to watch it because, people are now, it's been out for about a day and people are saying it's pretty good. People are like, it's pretty interesting, actually. If you're even slightly interested in the royal family, and I am because I love The Crown. I love that show, that Netflix show. So I guess I'm going to have to watch this. Harry and Meghan, their new Netflix series has a, let's see here. Let me see what it says here. Oh, man. Do you hear the dog? Yeah, the dog's out there being a jerko. Harry and Meghan's Netflix series has a difficult, peculiar feature that raises a difficult question. Oh, okay. That's what we do here. We do difficult questions. Harry and Meghan's own videos stand out the most in Netflix documentary, says Sky's Rhiannon Mills, because was it paranoia that made them film themselves at a traumatic time, or the knowledge that they would later have some monetary value? So a lot of the things that have made news, or a lot of the things that have been associated to Harry and Meghan, we're leaving the royal family. We're going to go live in California. We don't think there's all of these things. Over the past 2 years, come on, we've heard endless stories. Every couple of days, there's another story. Harry and Meghan say, well, apparently during all of these stories, when they did these things, they were filming themselves. So we get to see it all in real time. I'm actually interested in that. I am perversely curious in what Harry and Meghan are like when they're laying around. I mean, I'm not gonna like watch a 10-part series on it, but I'll check it out, is what I'm saying. I'm starting to think maybe I ought to check this out. Oh, also another new thing on Netflix. Netflix has what's that new? I talked about it last night. The Aubrey Plaza film, Emily the Criminal, which is a new movie on Netflix. It stars her. And do you remember Juice from Sons of Anarchy? Theo Rossi, great actor. Theo Rossi's a great character actor, but most famously he was Juice. He was Juice from Sons of Anarchy. It's Emily the Criminal stars Aubrey Plaza and Juice from Sons of Anarchy. And she plays they're involved in credit card fraud. People stealing credit card applications on the mailboxes and stuff. And then they make a credit card and they go, it's all about how credit card fraud works. And it's also about Emily, who is played by Aubrey Plaza, who is a girl who has student loans and she's a caterer and shit's not going well for her. And she's in her mid to late 30s and she doesn't know what she's going to do. So she becomes a credit card criminal. And it's actually pretty good. I fell asleep. I fell asleep not because the movie was not engrossing. I fell asleep just because I was tired. And so I've got to watch like the last half hour of it. But I can tell you, I'm liking it. Emily the Criminal. But I'm in the tank for Aubrey Plaza. I just think she is so interesting. She is like one of the most interesting female character actors. Actors? Yeah, that's right. You don't have to say actresses. As a matter of fact, you're not supposed to say actresses. She's one of the most interesting female character actors out there. She's great. Avatar 2 is also trending. Avatar 2 is trending because apparently Avatar hasn't been on TV in a long time. Like it's not available. I don't know, maybe it is, but according to this, it's not. And this is Variety, so I would think they might know. Avatar is coming back to like HBO Max or something. I don't know. I don't want to open up this story. I don't want to read the story because I don't want to spend that much time on Avatar 2. But you're going to have an opportunity to see Avatar 1 if you haven't seen it. That's me. I haven't seen it. I remember when Avatar came out and it was like, oh, it's just so gorgeous. The cinematography and this new graphics, these special effects, they're so amazing. When that came out, I was like, yeah, that's I'm not interested in that. I don't care. Video games have cool special effects too. I'm not going to spend. So I never saw Avatar. Actually, I think that I have seen Avatar in like snippets. Like I know the blue people, right? The beep, 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 little blue people. But man, I'm sorry. I'm a grown ass man. That's a fairy tale for children. I am not interested in what is essentially like a hybrid cartoon live action fairy tale for children with amazing special effects from James Cameron. I'm just not. So anyway, Avatar 2 is coming up. And Avatar 2 is getting insanely good reviews. Oh, it's the greatest, most visually spectacular film you've ever seen. The exact same shit they said when the first one came out. When I went, yeah, I want to see that. Visually spectacular, you say? Have you seen the Grand Canyon? I have. That's visually spectacular. This better than that? Oh, it's amazing. Whatever. It's cartoon. It's a cartoon. Don't stop it. I don't care what James Cameron does with special effects, right? James Cameron special effects. I could make the world eat itself with special effects. It'll crack right open and it'll involve itself and then you'll have... I don't want to see that. You're doing that with a computer. You're basically drawing that. You want to know what I like? You want to know what impresses me, James Cameron? The Hunter. Steve McQueen driving a Mustang off of like a 15-story parking garage into the river below. That's some special effects. Doing it on a computer. In The Hunter, they had a car and they drove the car off the Marina Towers in Chicago into the Chicago River below with a guy in it. They did it. They shot it. It's in the film. It's awesome. Don't tell me about what you can do with your crayons and your freaking computers, okay? Real special effects. people's lives at risk. That's what I have no interest in seeing Avatar 2. I wish him luck, whatever. But look, I'm a grown man. If I was 12, I might be interested in the fairy tale aspects of Avatar 2. My son may want to go see Avatar. Oh, God, I'm just now realizing this. Oh, I might have to. Oh, he's going to want to watch Avatar 1. Nah, you know what? Nah, I hope my kid's cooler than this. I hope my kid's going to be like, yeah, I don't want to see that. My kid still wants to see Amsterdam, which was such great news to me because I don't go to a lot of movies. I watch a lot of movies, but I watch them, in the way we all watch movies in our home. But when I do go to a movie theater, it's with my 13-year-old son. And for years and years, it has always been, I got to go see whatever movie he wants to see. And he wants to see stupid shit. 9 years old, 10 years old, he's picking the movie. And I'm like, okay. Scorsese's got a new film that we could go see. No, I want to watch Shrek 10 or whatever. You know what I mean? So not that there's anything wrong with Shrek. Those are good movies too. But my kid's at an age now where he's kind of breaking away from that, where he's now suggesting more grown-up movies. Like Amsterdam. My 13-year-old son, like every time, Dad, can we see Amsterdam? I'm like, well, it's not on. It's not. Actually, hey, Ed, I don't know if Ed is listening. I don't know if Amsterdam's available. It's somewhere. If there's a way that we can acquire the rights to Amsterdam, I would like to see Amsterdam. Just a little message to my friend Ed. My son would like to see Amsterdam. And that seems like a very grown-up movie. So, maybe he won't. Maybe he won't say to me, Dad, would that be this weekend? Is Avatar opening this week? I got my kid this weekend. It's a very exciting kids weekend. We usually go to a movie. I'm not going to see Avatar 2. Unless he wants to. He's got me over a barrel because there is no way I'm going to be able to acquire a PlayStation 5 for him this Christmas. He's not going to get the PlayStation 5. He's not. And I'm not just saying that like, you're not getting a PlayStation 5 so that the surprise is like great on Christmas. You got a PlayStation 5. No, he's not getting a PlayStation 5. They're too hard to find. They're never in stock. And the ones that are available are going for 3 times the price. So he's not getting a PlayStation 5. So what that means is, for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have to be extra nice and extra, whatever. So if he wants to see Avatar 2, I guess I'll be seeing Avatar 2 this weekend. Even though I don't want to. Steven Tyler is trending. Dude looks like a lady. Hey, by the way, you know what that song was written about? You know the song Dude Looks Like a Aerosmith? Dude looks like a lady. That's written about Vince Neil. Yeah. Steven Tyler wrote Dude Looks Like a Lady about Vince Neil. I didn't know that. Aerosmith has canceled the rest of their Las Vegas residency. Steven Tyler is sick. The final 2 gigs have been canceled by Aerosmith. Let's see what's wrong with Steven Tyler. Aerosmith canceled the final 2 dates of their Las Vegas pop-ups. Aerosmith canceled the final 2 dates of their Las Vegas Aerosmith Deuces Are Wild residency on Thursday morning due to the undisclosed illness affecting singer Steven Tyler. On the advice of doctors, Steven has to sit these out, the band announced on Instagram. Earlier this week, the veteran band Scotched, Scotched, work with me on this, chat room. Earlier this week, the veteran band Scotched their December 2nd and 5th gigs at the Dolby Live in Park MGM due to an illness affecting Steven Tyler. Scotched. I've never heard that term before. They just make that up. Scotched, scratched. They scratched the show. I would get scotched. I don't know what that means. Anyway, Steven Tyler's sick. They're not saying what it is. They canceled a bunch of Aerosmith shows. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, let's take a breath. Let's get back into those crazy narratives that we see floating around, right? We all get these certain people that there's an echo chamber that exists, and a lot of people, when they hear things that they want to believe are true, and they come from smart people and people who seem they wear expensive clothes, and maybe they're on TV and they're attractive and they seem like they know stuff. We believe it. That's what we do. That's what I've done for years. That's what you've done for years. That's how we got into this place. We believe the talking heads and the narratives that they put out. Now, why are they putting out these narratives? Because they have an agenda. Because absolutely everybody has an agenda. I don't give a fuck who you're talking to. Everybody has an agenda, whether it's, I mean, look, we're talking about news media too. We're talking about NBC, MSNBC. They all have an agenda. They all have a narrative that they're trying to feed into. They all have a specific demographic who they want to like what they're saying. So don't kid yourself. There is no honest news. There is no. Now, with that said, there is a story that is floating around that I find hysterical. I love this story. I want more and more and more on this story. It concerns a school in Chicago, the Francis Parker School in Chicago. There is a right wing, far right wing content creation group called Project Veritas, and they've done all kinds of crazy things. They're funny. They do crazy, funny things. Nothing ever comes of any of it because it's all very questionable. All that stuff, but whatever. They still do it. God love them. Hey, get out there on YouTube, do your stuff, you crazy kids. So the latest Project Veritas was they interviewed this dude who is he's presented as the dean of the Francis Parker School. And he's being secretly recorded. It looks like he's in a coffee shop. I don't know what kind of an interview he's doing, but the person conducting the interview is from Project Veritas. And he is obviously claiming to be somebody else from something else. And this dean of this school in Chicago starts talking about how diversity is such an important thing at the school and how they have drag queens come on. And look, I'll be honest with you. I'm sitting now. I know what the punchline to this is, right? And I'm going to share that with you in a second. And this is, again, goes against the narrative, but just wait for it. I'm watching this guy and I know what this is. I'm watching this guy and I'm going, man, this is not playing well. This is not playing well for this dude, this dean of students at Francis Parker School in Chicago, talking about how we have drag queens coming and then we have gender fluid awareness week and it's nice. And, they have sex toys and butt plugs and they pass it. This dude, this dean of students, Joe Bruno's his name. This dude is sitting here talking about all of this stuff. And I'm watching it and I'm going, man, a whole bunch of people who don't know what Francis Parker School is are going to be losing their shit over this. There are going to be people in Iowa. There are going to be people, there are going to be rubes in Ohio going, look at what's happening. You send your kid to a school in Chicago and they learn about butt plugs. I mean, that's the narrative that's being put out there. They're purposely withholding all the information for you. Because it's a better story if you see this and think, well, this must be typical of schools in the Chicago area. That's disturbing. I wouldn't send my kid to that school. Honestly, after seeing this dean talk about, the way he was talking, and it's just, we're so inclusive and, we're all about diversity here and all that kind of stuff. So I'm hearing him say this and I'm going, yeah, but butt plugs, I don't need my kids. You don't need to bring a drag queen in and talk about butt plug. That's not something that and we're talking about high school kids. We're talking about kids, freshmen through senior. So we're not talking about 3-year-olds. Okay. So we're talking about kids who are probably already sexually active and who know what a butt plug is. Okay. 13-year-olds know what a butt plug is. But here's the thing. This is why this is not a story. This is at Francis W. Parker School. Anyone in Chicago knows that the Francis W. Parker School is not anything like any other school that is in the entirety of the Midwest. In fact, Francis W. Parker School is one of the 5 best schools in the country. The Francis W. Parker School is not a public school. The Francis W. Parker School is not a school that your kids are going to go to. I pay my taxes, my kids go to public schools, and they're learning about butt plugs. Francis Parker costs, in some cases, $60,000 a year to attend. This is the elite of the elite schools in Chicago. If you think for 1 minute that a parent of a Francis Parker student is going to see this Project Veritas shit and then go nuts, You're insane. You know why? Because the parent of a Francis Parker student is probably in Prague because they're the ambassador to Czechoslovakia. Those are the kids we're talking about here. Okay? That's what we're dealing with. Hold on. I just spilled something. We'll get it fixed. So anyway, yes, it's disturbing, but I ain't paying 60 grand a year to send my kid anywhere. Right? I mean, that's not happening. So my kid's not going to the Francis Parker School, and for good reason, because this dean of students seems like a complete. Come on, you don't look. I don't care what kind of progressive school, what kind of super rich 1% private high school your kids are attending. I don't want the teachers bringing out butt plugs and having a big. I don't care. Look, you can have drag. I don't care. I don't give a shit. You want to talk about drag lifestyle? That's fine. Social studies. That's something that sounds like you should probably cover in social studies. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is that this story is being the narrative that I'm seeing. The story is being presented as this is typical of schools in this part. This is what happens when you elect a Democrat, right? It's like, what are you nuts? This isn't a public school. This is a school that you can't go to. This is a school that I can't go to. This is a school that my kids can't go to. This is a school that only people who are willing to spend like $60,000 a year in private tuition per student, by the way, God forbid you got twins. These are super rich people at a super elite private school who don't give a fuck about what Project Veritas is trying to do. And if you're getting all ginned up about it because if I move to Chicago and I put my kid in a school, this is what they're going to learn. No, your kid ain't going to the Francis W. Parker School. And that's why Francis W. Parker is trending. Hey, fun fact. You know who went to Francis W. Parker School? Anne Heche, who we just talked about yesterday. So you know they raise them up right. Jennifer Lawrence is trending. Why is Jennifer Lawrence? Oh, Jennifer Lawrence is trending because she got in trouble. Well, let me tell you something. You people back the fuck up off Jennifer Lawrence, okay? You back off J-Lo. What are we calling her? J-Law? Jennifer Lawrence. You back off J-Law. You keep J-Law's name out of your mouth. Jennifer Lawrence is, she has sparked backlash. She misspoke. She's what? She's 30. How old is she? 32? God, I love Jennifer Lawrence. So James and I do a show at 9:00. We call it Pillow Talk. We're going to do a show. We're going to do a movie show, trivia. Every once a week or something, we do a trivia show. I think we did TV last time where I had to answer. What did I add? Did I do Sopranos and he did Cheers? Was that how we did it? Okay, so we did that. Next, we're going to do a movie. And I said that the movie that I want to do, you're going to ask me questions about because it's Christmas time. Love Actually, right? And I'm like, Love Actually, and I've now watched Love Actually twice this Christmas season. That's right. When I'm cleaning I just put Love Actually on. Why? Because if I'm not paying attention, I can just stop every once in a while and just watch a scene and go, "That's a nice scene. I feel better about myself now," and then go on back with what I'm doing. I don't think we're going to do Love Actually though. I think that when James and I do our movies, I don't think the movie I choose to be quizzed on is going to be Love Actually. I think the movie that I choose to be quizzed on is going to be the incredible Jennifer Lawrence film, Silver Linings Playbook. I think that's going to be it. I think because I had to think, could I really answer questions about Love Actually? There's so much going on there. There are so many different characters. That's a really difficult one. If you wanted to try and stump someone in a trivia contest, using Love Actually would be good because it's a cast of like 30. And I can't even name. I've seen the film every year at Christmas time since this damn movie came out. So I've seen it a million times. And every time I watch it, I go, oh, I forgot that dude's in this. Oh, Shannon Elizabeth is in this. Oh my God. Stuff like that. Like, you forget. So I don't want to do Love Actually. We're going to do Silver Linings Playbook. Silver Linings Playbook. Jennifer Lawrence's best film. She's done a lot of really good stuff, but she was never better than in Silver Lining Playbook. I also think Silver Lining Playbook is by far Bradley Cooper's best film, but we'll get into that. So why is The Beloved Jennifer Lawrence trending because she's taking shit because she said something and she was wrong. She was wrong. She didn't say something like, well, I don't think black people or white people should be married. It's not like that. She didn't say something like that was wrong. She said something stupid. She said something stupid about a movie that was wrong. And now all the film nerds are like, that's actually incorrect. You know, the Adam Rainas, as I look at Adam Raina, the Adam Rainas of the film world are now tearing her down. She said something stupid. She was wrong. She was totally wrong. When I read the quote, and I know I haven't told you what the quote is yet, but don't worry, we're getting there. And when she said the quote, I was like, that's not right. That's absolutely not. Who told her that? That's not true. And basically the quote was that Jennifer Lawrence said that her character of Katniss in the Hunger Games, where she played an action hero, she said that she was the first actress to star in an action film, that she made it possible for other women, or not other women, but she, with the success of Hunger Games, made Hollywood look at other women and go, oh, so maybe we can do female action leads. And she said that, she basically said that was me, that I was the first. And then everybody's like, Sigourney Weaver would like a word, I mean, like, that's the first one that I thought of. I'm like, hold on. You're claiming to be the first female action hero in Hunger Games? What is that, 2010? When did Hunger Games come out? Because Alien came out in like 1979, and that was all Sigourney Weaver. Jennifer Lawrence is sparking backlash after falsely claiming to be the first woman in the lead of an action film. Lawrence made the comments in a nearly 45-minute sit-down discussion with fellow actress and producer Viola Davis. I know it's Viola, but I like to pronounce it Viola. If I was her, that's what I would be. I would introduce myself. Viola Davis. Lawrence made the comments in a nearly 45-minute sit-down discussion with fellow actress and producer Viola Davis, published by Variety, in which they discussed acting inequities. See, when you're reading fast, sometimes you get to a word and it's like, hit the brakes. They discussed acting inequities within the industry, motherhood, and many other topics. In the discussion, Lawrence, 32, said of the significance of her role playing protagonist Katniss Everdeen in the Hunger Games, she says, I remember when I was doing Hunger Games. Nobody had ever put a woman in the lead of an action movie because it wouldn't work, because we were told girls and boys can both identify with a male lead, but boys cannot identify with a female lead, she told Viola Davis. Lawrence went on to say, it just makes me so happy every single time I see a movie come out that just blows through every one of those beliefs and proves that it's just a lie to keep certain people out of certain movies. Critics on social media quickly pounced on Lawrence's comments, noting that several other women have starred as leads in successful action films, including Sigourney Weaver in the Alien films, Angelina Jolie in both Salt and Tomb Raider, Uma Thurman in Kill Bill Volume 1 and Kill Bill Volume 2, although I wouldn't say that's different. Kill Bill, don't muddy the waters with Kill Bill. There was a whole lot going on there. That's different category of awesomeness, but just different. Michelle Yeoh in several films, including Super Cop, Magnificent Warriors, and Yes, Madam. Dude, I would also offer you Kate Beckinsale. Kate Beckinsale has done a bunch of action flicks. What are those Kate Beckinsale movies where she's dressed in leather from head to toe, and isn't she like a vampire hunter or something? So stop it, J-Law. You're great. Yes. Hunger Games are fun. I like those movies. Those are good. I saw Hunger Games retroactively after becoming a very big fan of Jennifer Lawrence because of American Hustle and then Silver Linings Playbook. Those two movies back to back that I saw with Jennifer Lawrence, I was like, ooh, she's legit. And then I went back and I watched the Hunger Game movies, and I like those. I like the Hunger Game movies. They're good. But yeah, Kate Beckinsale is also not being, just leave her alone. She's 32 years old, whatever. She doesn't know a lot. She didn't go to normal school. She probably learned how to do math. She probably learned how to do math during lighting breaks of the Bill Engvall show. I mean, she's not that smart. She's an actress. She's a talented actress. World's richest man is trending again. World's richest man. We talked about this yesterday because they were going back and forth. Because for a very brief moment yesterday, on December the 7th, Bernard Arnault passed Elon Musk as the richest man in the world. Now, within a couple of hours, Elon Musk passed Bernard Arnault again. So by the time we hit the air yesterday at noon, Elon Musk had regained the title of world's richest man from Bernard Arnault. And then Bernard Arnault passed him again. Like by mid-afternoon, apparently because Tesla stocks were down and, Moet Champagne stocks were up. And by the way, that's something that somebody said. So this guy, Bernard Arnault, like right now, we don't know who the richest man in the world is right now because they're like going back and forth. Currently, it's Arnault again. He's like, as of, well, I don't even know what time zone this is. All right, if we're going to believe that it's just Central Time Zone, as of 2 hours ago, Bernard Arnault is back to being the wealthiest man in the world again. Now, who is he? Because we don't, right? I mean, I thought when you talk about the wealthiest man in the world, I thought, you got your Musk, you got your Bezos, you got your Gates, who's this guy? Who's this Bernard Arnault guy? Well, here you go. He came out of nowhere. Actually, he didn't come out of nowhere. He's been super rich for a very long time. He's just quiet, sneaky rich, and he comes from one of those creepy Da Vinci Code European families that have had money since, Jesus was nailed to the cross. He comes from one of these, like, not rich money, not new money, not Elon Musk money, not Bill Gates money. This is like the weird, like I say, Da Vinci Code stuff. This is like Medici money. This is like where Bernard Arnault. He's a French business magnate, investor, socialite, and art collector. He is the co-founder, chairman, like where's he get his money from, right? Where does Bernard Arnault get his money from? He is the co-founder, chairman, and chief executive of LVMH Moet Hennessy / Louis Vuitton. All right, so he is the owner of the world's largest luxury goods company. So his company also owns Bugatti. Like if you want to buy a Bugatti, like his company is the one that owns that company or whatever. I don't know. But if it's super fancy, super rich, he owns a jet company like Gulfstream or something. If it's super rich, super fancy stuff, this dude, Bernard Arnault, he owns it. He owns it all. And well, there you go. And they were talking about the apparently like his champagne company or whatever it is, Moet Chandon, is like been going through the roof for the last couple of weeks. And they think that that's why he's being so competitive with the ups and downs of Elon Musk. Cause New Year's Eve, cause the whole world has ordered like 1 million bottles of champagne. And he's got the luxury brands. So 1 million bottles of his champagne costs like 10 grand a bottle. So yeah. So anyway, he's having a good month. This is a good time. The guy who owns luxury brands definitely has good Decembers, what with Christmas and all of that. So he's, they're crushing it. His stocks have got him worth just a little bit more than Elon Musk. Although, that can change. Again, it's going back and forth. Elon Musk, Bernard Arnault. Let's see, what else do we have here? Actually, that's it. That's all that I got prepared for you. Let's go jump over to Twitter. Let's see what those baboons have been getting into here over the past couple of hours. See what they got going on. Dan Snyder. Why is Dan Snyder trending? What did he do? What is he stepping down? That's the only news that I want from Dan Snyder. Former Washington team president. This comes from Ari. I don't know who this is. All right, I'm going to do Adam Schefter. I saw a blue check. Everybody's got a blue check now. Everybody's got a blue check now. Everybody. That's the weird thing about Twitter. Now you can pay like $8 to have a blue check. I'm seeing a lot of my friends who like suddenly are paying to have the blue check. I'm saying, ooh, you're revealing quite a bit to me about your ego. You are. You're telling me that blue check means now some people I understand. Like I'll give you a good example. My buddy Ed who runs Radio Misfits. He's one of the new people that got a blue check. but he needs a blue check because he runs a podcast platform that has a whole bunch of people saying a whole bunch of things. So he needs to be responsible for that. So it's actually important, I think, that him in the position that he holds within this larger podcast network to be someone that people know they can, that's the guy. That's the guy right there. But like, I got a bunch of other friends. I got one friend who's a truck driver and he's got a blue check now. I'm like, you dork. It's you're not going to paying $8. I'm not going to pay $8. I'm going to pay $8 to Twitter. Twitter's free, dummies. All right. So don't fall victim to that. That's your ego. That's your ego based on an interpretation of what the blue check meant 2 years ago. You will pay the $8 today because 2 years ago it meant something to have a blue check. It doesn't mean anything now. You know what it means now? It means if you've got a blue check and I've never heard of you, it means you're an idiot who just wants people to think you're famous. That's all. That's it. If you've got a blue check and I've never heard of you, I still say the ultimate in cool, the ultimate in social media cool are people who could get blue checks who refuse to get them. I think that's very cool. A good example of that is Mike Reiner. Mike Reiner is a great example of that. Mike Reiner should have Mike doesn't want no blue check. He's like, what does that mean? I'm more important? Fuck that. That's who else doesn't have one? Oh, Corby on the hardline. Corby doesn't have a blue check. That's very cool too. He's like, yeah, that's kind of a douchebag thing. Like, why would I want to? Anyway, Daniel Snyder is trending, and I'm going to look at. Wait a second. I don't want to look at this. I want to look at Adam Schefter. Where is Adam? I trust Adam Schefter because I know Adam Schefter was a blue check long before everybody could be a blue check on Twitter. All right. I'm looking for a legit NFL reporter. And now I can't find Schefter. I had Shefty. I had him a couple of minutes ago, but now not so much. All right, here's Schefter. Daniel Snyder permitted and participated in a toxic work culture, obstructed a congressional inquiry, worked to intimidate witnesses, and claimed more than 100 times he could not recall answers. This per a House Oversight Committee report. Dan Snyder, owner of the Washington Commanders, is appearing in front of Congress, and he's being asked all kinds of questions, and apparently we're getting some details as to what. Add leaking the John Gruden emails to the already lengthy list of allegations putting pressure on Goodall and the NFL to kick Daniel Snyder out of the league. I don't think they're going to kick Daniel Snyder out of the league. I don't think they're going to. I'll tell you, man. The owners club in the NFL, I'm not going to say it's the most exclusive club in the world, but it is one of the most exclusive clubs in the world. Those people don't give up their seats in those clubs. And I'll tell you why the Daniel Snyder thing is a problem. If they get rid of Daniel Snyder because of this email, because of this investigation, because of cover-up, because of grab ass being played up in the executive offices, if they get rid of Daniel Snyder, he loses his NFL team. An NFL team, think about what that's worth. We're talking billions and billions of dollars. They get rid of Daniel Snyder. What's going to stop it from happening to them? You think the rest of the NFL owners have nothing in their background that is worse than what Daniel Snyder is being? There is not another. I tell you, nobody's going to vote. No other NFL owners are going to vote to get rid of Daniel Snyder. This is a slippery slope. You get rid of Daniel Snyder, and all of a sudden, now it's like, oh, so we can take down NFL owners. So they will look. The committee, the executive committee, the NFL owners, they need to vote to get rid of him, and they're never going to do it. They will not do it. Because they know, look, you don't think Jerry Jones has a whole bunch of stuff in his background that if it saw the light of day, there'd be all kinds of pressure on the NFL to kick him out of the league? Of course there would. Honestly, the only team in the league that probably has no issues is my Chicago Bears because they're run by a 98-year-old sweet old woman. It's just an old grandma at the top of that thing. And even then, I bet you there's some shady shit going on there. That'd be funny. That'd be funny if the Hallis family lost control of the Bears because it turned out that like 98-year-old Virginia Hallis was having sex with interns or whatever. Nope, not gonna happen. Not interested in that. All right, what else is trending? Dan Schneider is trending. That's a new one. Russia is still trending. Putin is still trending. Griner is still trending. Why is the national anthem trending? I don't want to get into that. Oh my God, look at this. People are so ugly. People got Otto warm beer trending. Would you leave that poor man alone? Would you leave Otto warm beer out of whatever your bullshit political narrative is? Leave that man alone. Leave his memory alone. But what about Otto warm beer? Otto warm beer was delivered dead. We didn't get Otto warm beer back alive. Okay? Stop it. I don't want to go into it, but it's trending. John Lennon is trending. Jason Garrett is trending. Trevor Reed is trending. Trevor Reed was another one of the hostages we got in Russia. Trevor Reed was returned a couple of months ago. Trevor Reed is the Fort Worth kid, I think. I want to believe. Howard Cosell is trending. Howard Cosell is trending because, as I said in the history portion of today's show, it was Howard Cosell who let the world know on Monday Night Football that John Lennon was dead. That's pretty crazy. All right, that's it. I think that's it. We're gonna put a nice little red bow on today's show. I hope that you feel all briefed up, you prepped up, you know what's happening in the world, at least to some degree. Tonight, 9:00, Pugs and Parker present Pillow Talk. We're gonna do a special. What is this?
All right, when you get in a wreck, sure, call 911, and right then call Frankel and Frankel.
I don't know what that is. I just had something pop up here. Hey. By the way, speaking of, did you guys hear, we'll do a little small talk here. Did you guys hear Grego on the Freak last night? I know there's probably like 5 people that know what I'm talking about. One of my favorite, boy. Okay, I'll talk about one of my favorite things. Radio is one of my favorite things. One of my favorite radio shows in the history of me listening to radio is the Hardline on the ticket here in town. The Hardline, and I would say the Hardline before 2010. All right, let's say, because that's I moved and I stopped listening for a while. And when I talk about what I loved about the Hardline for me is Mike Reiner, Greg Williams, Danny Bayless, and Corby. That's the Hardline. That's my Hardline that I listened to for 10 years every single day. I was such a fan of this show that we would wrap up our own show on 105.3, and then we would have a very quick meeting, and the meetings were always very quick post-show because I wanted to get into my car so that I could listen to What's on Mike's Mind, which is how Mike Reiner would open the show. Well, there was a very public falling out between the two leads on the Hardline. Many here in North Texas are familiar with it. Mike Reiner and Greg the Hammer Williams stopped being partners. This is normal. This happens with every radio partnership. Although I was thinking about this the other day. All of these radio partnerships that I'm familiar with, whether it's like Opie and Anthony or Stephen Gary or Grego and Ryan or whatever, it doesn't matter. You can name them. They all end badly. They all end with like the two main partners not talking to each other and blah, blah, blah. How come that didn't happen with me? How come I still love my partner? How come I'm still why is that? Why? I think that's why Pugs and Kelly never came back, because we didn't hate each other. There was like no reason for us to come back. There's like hey, Pugs and Kelly are back together, we would just pick up right where we left off. Like we'd be like, yeah, so anyway, like we were saying. But the Hardline is my favorite, one of my favorite team radio shows. And when Grego was kicked off the show for things that he did, Grego went a little bit nuts. Nobody's gonna hold it against Mike or the rest of the guys over there. It had to be done. It happened. I never thought they'd be back together. Never did I think that Mike Reiner and Greg the Hammer Williams would sit down and do a radio show again. And they did it last night. They came back together on the Freak 97.1, the Downbeat, which is Mike Reiner's new afternoon show. And I'm telling you, if you closed your eyes for a brief second yesterday, you could imagine it was 2007 all over again. You heard Danny Bayless's voice interacting with Mike Reiner's, and then you heard Grego. It was incredible. So that's what popped up when I just did it. It was such a fun show.
Right away, so they can help.
What
Frankel
is
and Frankel
this?
will pull their swords.
Is
that right?
Not a moment.
See if we
Not
can
a
hear a
moment.
little bit of it.
Just nervous, apprehensive, concerned, everything?
I've never, I mean, look at me.
Yeah.
I've never been this nervous in my entire life.
You know
That's
what
Grego.
Grego does now that's different?
What's
he
that?
drinks coffee.
Coffee.
He said he thinks about me every
Every
day
morning.
when he makes a
Anyway, we don't listen. The podcast is available. It's last night's Downbeat. If you want to hear the reunion between Reiner and Grego, that's what just popped up. That's why I got distracted here, because I was listening to it last night as I was falling asleep. Oh, is that great? It was weird though. It was weird. It wasn't. It was everything you wanted it to be. Because if you've been following the story of these two, they do not get along. They did not. There was an ugly breakup. It was very, very ugly. Mike Reiner was done. Mike Reiner walked away. He was like, nope, done. Forget about it. Screw that guy. My partner of 20 years. I don't need it anymore. He's a troublemaker. He's addicted to drugs. He's a liar. All of that stuff. And then to hear them together yesterday, especially in the very early, it was weird. It was tense. Like you could tell there was like, and then as it went on, they got more and more comfortable. And before the show ended, it was exactly like the old Reiner and Grego and Bayless chemistry that I came to know and love as a fan of the ticket all those years ago. So there you go. That was great. Oh, it's funny. As I say this, Grego, the Hammer, he just posted something on Twitter. It says, Grego says on Twitter, I did have one regret about yesterday. He's talking about going on with Reiner. I did have one regret about yesterday. The guys didn't comment on my magnificent mustache and shaggy, look at me, I'm young hair. I thought sure I'd get rolled for that. That was a layup for them. All right. Yeah, Grego looked different. Grego does not look. First of all, Greg the Hammer Williams was known as the Hammer because he was a big ass dude. He was a big ass dude that you didn't want to. He was a big ass hay baling hillbilly, take no shit, that kind of dude. He was. He don't look like that anymore. Grego looks like he lost 150 pounds. Grego looks. You know what Grego looks like? Grego looks like an NFL lineman 2 years after retiring. Have you ever seen an NFL lineman 2 years after they retire? They look like a normal person. They go from looking like this giant, bloated, barrel-chested to looking like your dentist. It's just what happens. That's what happened to Grego. Grego got really. He's in shape. I think he had some medical stuff. I'm not sure, but man, that was great. All right, what else we got to do here? What was I doing? I was trying to pull up the closing theme, wasn't I? Yeah, it was. For crying out loud. Bear with me. Where's my... Don't even tell me. There we go. All right, sorry. Tonight at 9 o'clock, we'll be back here. Me and Parker, Pugs and Parker present. It's the interviewing inmate show. We're going to have a friend of the show, Jen. She's in jail. And we're going to find out why she's in jail this time. We talked to her about a month ago. She gave us her whole story of... She's had a rough life. She made some bad choices. I don't know if in the first conversation we had with her that she took ownership of some of those choices. But whatever. Parker loves her. Parker's like, yeah, no, we were friends growing up. Because Parker comes off a certain way on the air because he's a showman when he's presenting this. But off the air in real life, he's like, no, yeah, he cares about this girl. This is somebody from his life. He's talking to her mom behind the seat. You know what I mean? So we're going to talk to her tonight. She's got arrested again. She's going to call us from prison. We're going to figure out exactly what's going on with her. So that's it. Tonight's Pillow Talk. We're going to talk to a prisoner. We're going to find out exactly what kind of nonsense got her locked up this time. She's been arrested like 20-something times. It's crazy. And this time she's been in there for a while. I guess she's been in for a bit. So we'll get to the bottom of all that. That's tonight at 9 o'clock. Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk here on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. All right, folks, I am out of here. I got to run. Byron says, let me see if I can help you out here. Byron says, did Grego get a different Twitter? One I follow hasn't tweeted since 20. Grego, I don't know if it's a new Twitter. I haven't refollowed him. So his Twitter, Byron, write this down. I'll give you a second. His Twitter is at Geg, not Greg, Geg, G-E-G, at Geg, G-E-G. All right, so here's the address. At Geg _ Williams. That's it. It's not Greg _ Williams. It's Geg, G-E-G _ Williams, and you should find him. I think you can just Google search TCU Grego. If you just Google TCU Grego, his Twitter should come up. But yeah, no, he disappeared for a while a couple of months ago. I was a little concerned about him. We DM from time to time. Turned out he had some medical stuff. I think that might explain like the severe, not severe sounds bad because he looked good. The shocking weight loss, the body transformation that he's gone through. He looks completely different. You know what he looks like? Here's what he looks like. He looked like a member of the Doobie Brothers, like today. Like if you saw the Doobie Brothers today, I don't know. He looked interesting. He looked interesting. I went, huh? When did Greg join the Doobie Brothers? All right, I got nothing else. I got to do some running around. I got to meet somebody at 3:30, so we're going to do that. Yeah, Byron, that's it. You got it. Byron's got it. Byron. Rage was good, too, even though Richie's a bit of a liberal. Dude, I'm a bit of a liberal. Come on. Is Richie? I don't know. I like Richie, but I don't know what his politics are. I just know he's a good dude.